This is the Throttle Out Show, presented by Vixen Industries, the only show where monster truck drivers and mechanics come together to present what's happening in the monster truck community. It's the ultimate combination of torque, horsepower, and trash talk. And now for your hosts. First, straight out of the heart of Detroit Rock City, it's Kid Rock's neighbor and former driver of the BKT ride truck. It's Austin Spence. And the duo deep in the heart of Texas, it's the show owner and daughter of a man who conquered the industry for over 20 years. It's Harley Johnson, along with everyone's favorite Bryce Kenny lookalike, Austin Tweedy. So go ahead, fuel up, strap in, and remember, when in doubt, throttle out.
Good evening, everybody. It's your boy, Poncho Man, repping Hoonigan, because, Hoonigan's strong over here still. We got nothing but a banger for y'all today. It's snowing out. That's the weather update, since I'm your meteorologist of today. It's a little chilly, icy down there in Texas. Tweety, do you want to talk about it? You want to tell us about it?
Yeah, I'll fill you in a little bit. Let's just say some ice hit the roads. They hit the streets. Nobody likes it. Nobody knows how to drive in it. So
no, had to close down the work.
Everything was shut down.
No one could go down to work today.
Everything was shut down.
Must
everything
be nice.
except for some reason Walmart. Walmart's open, but
that's an essential. That's got to be open.
Walmart has to stay open. So of course we had to go to Walmart.
Yeah.
While we weren't at work, playing a little hooky from work. But no, other than that, it's going to clear up, I guess, tomorrow, maybe Saturday. It'll be all right. We'll be headed out to Supercross this weekend. Pretty excited to go hang out and see our first Supercross event. Have you been? You've never been.
I've been before.
Oh,
yes.
okay. So it's me. I'm the only one.
I've been in the one a couple times in Oakland, but that's about it.
So I'm pretty excited for that. And we got an absolute awesome guest hanging out with us tonight. We've been chatting with him over the past few months about getting him to come on the show. And finally, he's here. And I'm excited to talk to him. He's good shit, y'all. And then Spence will most likely not be joining us tonight. He's out on the West Coast still doing some NHRA. Got a text message from him just a little while ago. He's still busy doing some stuff with the team
Hey,
tonight.
you know why?
Why?
Because he's not Hoonigan strong.
Oh
right.
my gosh.
Okay,
I missed this
Hoonigan
whole Hoonigan, banter from Monday. So what's this?
Look,
are you guys
listen.
anti-Hoonigan over here?
No.
Besides Coop?
Nah, it just was a bunch of joking and all that.
Look,
I was
all it
supporting their
comes down
move.
to is Coop and I'm sorry, Spence and myself disagreed with Coop as the way the reveal went, Harley. We thought it was silly.
That's a better.
We thought it was silly that
Okay.
they did the cover for Son of a Digger, and then they pop it open, and they got 3 or 4 stickers on the truck, and it was just kind of like, we thought it was a letdown. But we like the project, though. We like where they're going with this. The direction that it's headed in is a big deal. I don't disagree with that. I was just like, on the reveal. That's
It was
it.
just a disagreement on the reveal. That was really it. I
You got
like
a nice
Hoonigan
hoodie there. I do
regardless.
like that hoodie you're wearing, though.
I ordered it Monday when we were all arguing.
Yeah, I like how she's complimenting your hoodie, but she didn't say anything about my hoodie.
the one that's more important.
Yeah.
And then we're going to get into some hot topics in just a little bit. We got some stuff up our sleeve tonight. I think y'all are going to really enjoy this discussion. So, to the man up there in Missouri who may have some questionable Wi-Fi, not sure just yet. Before the show, we could hear him just fine. His picture may be kind of weird, but y'all should be able to hear him. And let us know in the comment section if it's our end, if we all sound weird or whatnot. But I think it'll be all right. So, ladies and gentlemen, for the very first time on our show, the madman out of Missouri who's taken the independent world by storm, making a name for himself. Going out, closing out a lot of these shows now. One of the craziest, one of the best skilled drivers to come out of Missouri in the last 20 years as to what people are saying in the comment section tonight. Everybody loves this guy. Ladies and gentlemen, the driver of the Tailgater 2.0 truck, Mr. Tim Jones.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey man, we're doing pretty good. We're just excited to talk to you, baby. I know you got a lot going on. You got a lot of shows you're keeping up with right now. You're kicking ass. And are you going somewhere this weekend?
No, I'm actually home this weekend, so it's get caught up on maintenance. That's Actually, what we're doing here, got the night cards from CRD coming to mail and from Overson coming to mail this week. So just doing some upgrades.
Now, let me ask you a question. When we were in Waco together a couple weeks ago, you had a new crew guy just helping you out for the weekend. And, man, let's just say you really put him through the ringer for your first weekend, or for his first weekend out. You go out the first night, you break a wheel on the truck, we go out, we celebrate, we have a good time. And then the next day, it gets really freaking cold out there, and you figure out you got some more problems with the truck that you didn't foresee the night before. Tell us a little bit about that experience, Tim.
Yeah, I got an email, and like everybody, they're wanting to know how to get into these shows and come help and be involved. And Thomas emailed me, and he's like, he wanted to really come help. And so you take a chance on it. Sometimes you get a guy that thinks they want to help, and then you get the guy like Thomas that give it 110% the whole weekend. He is welcome at my trailer, and anytime. He is welcome at my trailer anytime to help me out. We went out there freestyle, had a good show. I mean, everybody had a good show, and I just happened to break a champagne and didn't think nothing of it. Just kind of overlooked the damage, pulled it apart, looked at it, said, we'll fix that in the morning. And there we go. Yeah, there it was, done. And so the next day, go out to assess the situation, and it starts flipping snowing. And of course, my truck's outside, and it starts snowing. And then we start trying to put stuff together to find out it blew I run 2-inch Overson axles, and it broke the spool. On top of that, I guess it pulled the shaft out a little bit, because the wheel, the champagne, everything that attached the shaft held the truck up. But we was doing third members, axle shafts. I mean, it turned out to be a fiasco. And Thomas never turned a wrench on a monster truck. I figured he was going to be throwing wrenches. He come to help, and he really got the full experience of helping.
Now, let me ask you a question. Let's talk about your piece that's right there in the background, my man. Coop, I think you're going to find this interesting. He's got a very different chassis than what you and I are used to working on. Right, Coop? He's got a nice concussion chassis back there. He's got a nice shock package on that truck, got some coilovers implemented in a shock package. But something I was really interested in or curious to talking to you about, Tim, is your 4-link bars on your truck. Can you kind of talk to us a little bit about what's going on with your 4-links on the truck?
So I'm doing what a lot have questioned, but I have a 3-inch OD solid 7075 aircraft aluminum 4-link bars. They seem to be doing, with Toughest Tour, doing some silly sky wheelies that we do, just come crashing down on it. They've held up to 3 backflips now. I don't get options to do those a lot, but when I do, I want stuff to hold up. And to me, they're going on the new. They'll be on the new truck too.
That's awesome. I would have never guessed in a million years, Tim, that anybody will be running aluminum 4-link bars. I remember Joey showed me that before the show. And like you said, they've held up to backflips. They've held up to all the crazy shit that you put them through on the Toughest Tour. I mean, they're proving themselves, at every show.
Yeah, I've had some nasty side slaps. It's they deflected enough to, hit the frame, but yet they go right back. And I think they got just enough strength, but just enough cushion that I found my balance point with them. I don't rip tabs off the housings. I don't rip tabs off the frame. So everything seems to be working good.
Now, Coop, I don't know if you got questions ready for Mr. Tim or not. I got a couple more over here, and I'll go ahead and bring in another one right now. But one a question I'm really excited to ask you, Tim, is obviously you're a Missouri native, okay? True to the state. I imagine growing up, you're probably a big Bigfoot fan, huh?
Oh yeah, that's where it all started. Bigfoot, they were in St. Louis, 190 miles away. So, that's your local hero.
I mean, but to me, you are like a true Missourian, though. I mean, you're obviously down with Team Bigfoot. I see you're a big Ford guy. I mean, those two things right there don't really get much better than that. Let me ask you this: are you a Cardinals fan too?
Oh, Cardinals and Chiefs.
Get out of here.
I like this guy. I like him a lot.
No.
What do you mean no?
No. Cardinals, no.
And well, let me get. Who do you cheer for?
Who do you think?
Don't even say it, dude. I'm gonna throw up if you say it.
Who do you think? Say it.
Probably the Cubs.
Do not. Don't
The
even.
Cubs?
Oh!
The Cubs
Can you
all the way. Huh? Listen.
What?
You won.
What do you have to say?
I don't know. I literally went out from what I was gonna say. Anyway.
Where are we at now, Tim? Are we at, was it 11 championships for the Cardinals to the Cubbies 1 that they've had ever?
Hey, it was the greatest win of all time, and it was way better than all the 11 times you got one.
Yeah, if I only got to experience one win in my life, it would be the greatest one ever.
It was the most magical thing in the world. In a bar, watching them win.
I got another question for you, Tim. Being that I kind of already hinted at this, but being a big Ford guy, I guess you drive Fords as your personal vehicles as well, I'm assuming.
Yep, there's a newer Super Duty in the driveway. I've got a couple old side trucks out in the driveway, and
yeah, you do.
And of course, I have a '97 F350 that matches this body out in the driveway. So, pretty partial '97, the square body trucks over the dent. But I grew up. My dad had a '74 Highboy, and so that's always stuck with me ever since.
Yeah, I'm running an 01 F250 as we speak with the old 7.3 power stroke.
They don't get no better than that.
No, it don't. I don't think I'm ever going to get rid of this truck. I got it not too long ago, but I just don't think I'm ever going to get rid of this one. It's really nice.
Nope.
All right. Oh no, this is what I was going to ask you. Your Ford power plant. You're running your monster truck. You've been running that for a few years now. Are you looking to keep that? And the only reason I ask that, Tim, when we were in Waco, I know Marty Garza, myself, and a few other guys, we were just, racking up some discussion on possibly changing some power plants in the future. The way the sport is evolving, a lot of guys are switching over to EFI. There's been some guys taking in the mega truck world, taking and throwing some superchargers on some LS engines. Where do you kind of see this sport headed as far as the technology goes for engines right now? Do you see yourself changing your power plant anytime in the near future as well?
Well, some of these guys, the Coyotes, the LS, everybody refers to the LS, but that's a Ford motor. I mean, a Ford motor with the makeover. But with the Coyote motors and the new 7.3, heck, I think PRI, they had that new 7.3
the
motor
gasser
with that 2,500 horse with a Pro Charger on it.
You're talking about the 7.3 gasser, right?
The 7.3 gasser, yes.
Yeah.
I think technology needs to start coming into play, but as I'm going to stick this out there, Monster Jams is trying to, force the EFI thing. I think it's going to be better economically, but I know for a fact the tuning on those things, I don't agree with. If you're going fuel injected, you need to put it in the, in the intake, not all in the half. Because when you're just screwing it all together, it's still going to go to the cylinders it wants to go to, and you still have the same concept. You got main cylinders and you got cylinders, and then computers trying to compensate for it. And I think the last I heard, they burn more fuel than an independent with a normal old school hat.
Now let's bring Cooper into the conversation, because he's been wrenching on the fellow truckers a little more recently than what I have. Coop, were they starting to kind of get the hang of the EFI over there? Were they starting to get the hang of no, not really. No.
Listen, until they start getting the hang of it is when everybody that's working at a show will understand how to do it and not designate 2 to 3 people only.
Yeah.
That was the one problem I had with the whole system. I didn't understand it at all. I was excited to learn about it because it was new to me, but they only chose several people, like one person each tour, which is understandable to a point until it gets to a hurry, like a thrash,
Yeah.
which I feel like everyone needs to know it. It was very confusing from whenever I left. It felt like it wasn't 100% in everyone's brain. Now that there's not that many older people there still, there's a bunch of new guys.
True.
It's just restarting the system. It's just back to where it was before, to where now there's only one guy on each tour that knows how to do it. And there might be one guy who goes, oh, I know how to check the RPMs or something on the deal. But it's like, no, nobody really knows how to run it because they're not teaching everybody. They're only choosing one person.
Well, Tim, one of the things that we were talking about when we were out in Waco was, they had Holly write the tunes for the monster trucks, right? Nobody at Feld was actually messing with the tunes on the truck, okay? Holly, I remember Holly even saying this when they came down. Coop, I don't know if you were there down in Florida when the Holly guys were there or not. I don't know. But
No, I wasn't allowed.
Okay. But Holly themselves, their rep from Holly even said it was extremely difficult for them to write a tune for a monster truck simply because they're used to doing stuff for drag racers, right? Who it's either 0 or it's 100 all the way down the drag strip, right? And they talked about how it was difficult to write a tune for monster trucks because the program was all over the place. They didn't know how to actually perfect the tune. So when the EFI system started out, I mean, all of us were clueless. We were relying on Holly to write the tunes, get it to us, then get distributed to like what Coop said. They designated like one person on each tour to be good with the EFI, and that was about it. And we'll just like slowly learn from them what they already understood, Tim. So let's just say it was rather difficult getting the hang of that, Tim.
For the longest time.
I feel.
Oh, sorry.
Myself too is monster trucks is, you're crashing. It's already so complex with trying to keep a truck running from wrecking it. A typical freestyle's 15 car crashes. So then you add electronics into the aspect, and then a flip or a fuel line and a fire and something simple that you can fix in 30 minutes, and you burn an EFI system off a truck and the truck's down. And on the independent aspect, when you're only got 8 trucks at a show, if somebody else breaks the wheel off or loses a transmission or a motor, and now you start adding silly gremlins to a show, it's just like, let well enough be alone.
Yeah.
For the longest time, us Paxton folk, we got away with not putting it on there the first year they were having EFI on there.
That's right.
Because we just said we have a front engine. We can't do it.
I mean, that's, and like Shane tried it on the independent. England
That's
tried
right.
it. And he, and he was dead set he was going to make it work. And man, and Shane just wanted to give it 110%. If he could work his butt off to buy something to make it better, he would do it. But that truck was always a gremlin. It was either timing or an injector hanging open. And I mean, we done in Minnesota for James when we had 19 trucks up there, and Shane's truck pumped so much fuel in that thing that it was actually overflowing out the valve covers. I mean,
Wow.
it was insane. And he lost a motor over that deal, and it's a bad deal. And I just don't see, what's working for me. I run my truck a little on the lean side. Lean's mean, but, I can normally pretty good average of 12 gallons of fuel per run, depending on the rate bracket, how big the rates are. And when the same truck doing something similar from people, and they're going through twice as much fuel, I don't feel that it's a benefit.
So this is a really interesting comment from Shane England. When Holly came to me initially to be the first to run the EFI, they were hit and miss with support. So my engine builder myself had to figure it out. Actually cost me a motor. And I'm not going to lie, y'all, that happened quite a bit at Monster Jam when EFI first rolled around as well. And like
This is
Cooper was,
true.
what Cooper was saying was very true, was 4 people out on tour would be okay with EFI. And they would be flying guys out to shows from Monster Jam, mind you, from Monster Jam to actually go and get all the EFI stuff figured out. And I think one of my biggest complaints that I had with EFI was, and I can't remember if I told you this, Tim, or not, but we went out to Glendale, Arizona, one of the, I think it's maybe second show of the season, and we were doing 5 a.m. morning media. Trucks just came back from San Antonio. And the trucks are trying to learn their environment. We're not supposed to be changing the pill, not supposed to be messing with any of that stuff because the computer should be able to learn that by itself. And the trucks are firing up. They're running for like 5-10 minutes, and they're still dying. And it's not because they're cold. It's because they're trying to learn the environment. And I didn't know, Coop, if you'd had any more issues with that on your end.
Yeah, it's always, anytime we showed up anywhere, we'd have to run it for 5 minutes to let the computer learn, and it would never learn.
Well, I mean,
Sometimes
you put your foot on the throttle just to try to, because it would die, right? You put your foot on the throttle, then now the computer's learning, that with your foot on the throttle, opening the butterflies a little bit.
I've never experienced it dying on me, maybe once or twice, but half the time it just in new areas, like in El Paso, it was awful.
Yeah, I bet it was
such a worst spot ever. Also, fun thing about EFIs, so you got all them little wires coming off, right? What do you think is amazing to do to take apart when it's a motor change? The EFI.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to rewind all the way back to Arlington, my last show.
Oh, my goodness.
Corey Rumble was helping us take the hat
Oh
off.
my gosh.
You will not believe what this man did. He ripped a small wire connected to our EFI. We don't know if it was him, though, so I'm not going to put the full blame. But I'm saying it's him. He ripped it, and we didn't know about it. And it cost us 20 minutes of trying to figure out what happened. Because that's another thing with EFI. If one little thing's not working, it won't run. So it takes so long to do, and it just takes away time to get the truck back to the show for the fans.
And you got Shane England down in the comment section now that they got the EFI figured out. He wouldn't change a thing now that he's got it worked out, got all the kinks worked out. Had to figure it out himself, but there you go.
Yeah, once it works, it's good. When it works.
Now, Coop, you got some questions you want to ask Tim Jones?
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if you answered this or not. I may have been spaced out, or I was taking a drink of my amazing whiskey here. Why aluminum? What made you think aluminum for your Four Links?
So I stole the idea.
You're a stealer.
You go back years ago. Taurus got away with aluminum 4-link bars, aluminum wheels, aluminum drive shaft stake loops. They've done all that stuff on that truck to make that truck come in at weighing 7,500 pounds. And it worked then. But, as the trucks went light, heavy, light, back to tank, you got to start making a give point somewhere. And, some guys are doing some half-inch wall DOM, and it's ripping, Feld went to the big chromoly bars, and it started ripping cradles out. You'd rather bend a 4-link bar than rip a cradle out of a truck,
Yeah.
A couple shock shafts and a bar, and you can be up and going again. Rip the cradle out, and you're up all night.
Yeah.
Jerry Beck's truck, quad, had 4-link bars, aluminum 4-link bars in it. Brannick Motorsports out of Northern Indiana is the one that does a lot of stuff for me and Jerry, and a lot of other sports. They do trophy truck stuff and core stuff, and so they do a lot of aluminum stuff. And so me and Stan was talking up there, and we decided we tried a set of 2.5s. They were deflecting too much, and I actually tweaked a couple of them. So we went to 3-inch, and I haven't had an issue yet. And I think, Pablo makes a killer 4-link bar. It looks like a push rod, and it takes 3 men and a midget to pick it up.
Yep.
But it's heavy. I mean, heavy. You're not bending it. But the aluminum to me is like an aluminum rod in a motor. It takes the blunt shock from the impact and versus it more evenly. It sucks up that hard. It's like taking a piece of steel and a sledgehammer and an anvil, and you smack that piece of steel with that sledgehammer against that anvil, and it just rings your hand. Where you have the same piece and aluminum, and you smack it, and it's dead. And harmonics, I mean, everything transfers through harmonic vibrations, and aluminum dissipates that so much better.
That's actually crazy. Another thing, I guess before Tweety asks the question, because me first. So far in your career with the monster trucks, what has been your most inconvenient break that has happened during a show, and if it was pretty inconvenient, but you were able to get it after a lot of hassling to get it back for the show?
Good question.
I'm going to have to say a motor is always an inconvenient break.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
So I lost the motor in Minnesota the second year. So what is that, 2019 or 18? I had this truck. It was the first year for my new concussion. So 2018. I lost the motor on a Friday night. I lost the motor the weekend before at a show in Oklahoma. So for 14 hours on my way home, I'm scrolling the internet, looking for motors to buy between where I'm at and on my way home. And I find one, and I call the guy, and I'm like, he's like, well, I mean, it took me forever to convince him that I was stopping to pick it up. So he pulled it out of a truck, and I stopped and I bought this motor on my way home. Come on home. He met me at the truck stop. We threw it in the trailer. I come home. I stick it in, go to Minnesota, and blew head gasket.
Oh.
Friday night. It torched the block or the head bad enough that I couldn't run it. So me being a Ford, there's maybe a handful of us at the time that run them, and I was lucky to be a veteran. Botters was in town, and so the next morning I go over and I steal a motor from him with borrowing, and I bought it, but it took everything to pry it out of his hands. And I got that motor from Mike, and we put it in up there, and then I go out for freestyle, and I just flat foot that pod to clear it, and I tripped up on the backside, and I actually nosed over the truck and went back to the wheels. But that's before the aluminum 4-link bars, and I've been a 4-link bar. So I didn't get to finish freestyle. So we done a full motor swap and got only one hit freestyle. It makes you question your sanity.
It does, and honestly,
I know what
Tim,
you mean.
But that kind of leads into one of my questions I was going to ask you. So I've learned now that you run our construction business, and so my question is, coming out of construction, right? Some guys get some money saved up, they got a little side hustle they want to start or invest in, or maybe go drag race. That seems to be, I guess, the more popular thing to do. But you pick monster trucks. Why monster trucks?
Well, when I started, my motorsports career, it was in I'd done the whole mud racing thing, and that was short-lived. I hated washing trucks. I mean, just absolutely despised wash. Just the mess that makes in your driveway, or you pick your yard, or whatever you're gonna get all this mud off. And it's the same time Nulke was doing the mud. Doug was doing the whole mud thing, and that's about the time Doug quit and went monster trucking. I, in 2001, bought a brand new Dodge truck, and within before I ever pulled out of the parking lot, I popped the hood and put a chip on that thing. That's before they ever really cared about stuff. And within weeks, I was at a local fair, and they had a local diesel class. Well, I didn't know, and some of these guys were out there, and they'd already bought twin dual disc clutches and had injectors and had big tunes. Me, I was the underdog. Old boy's like, you enter, I'll pay for it. So I did, and heck, I shifted gears going down the track. You're not supposed to do that with a standard 6-speed truck, and that was the end of saving money. Let's put it that way. It went downhill so fast. 36,000 miles I put on that truck, driving it and going to truck pulls, 2 motors, 5 heads, like 3 transmissions, endless broken rear ends, to the point I put it all back together with 36,000 miles, slightly used on the internet, and away it went. Every nut and bolt had been out of that truck at least 3 times. And I went to the salvage yard. I built a truck, bought a truck, built a Ford truck and put a Cummins in it. Hart's diesel, built a motor for me. Thing in its time was make stupid power. Pushing the 1,300 horse range. Then, that's the day driver now, but at the time the thing was an animal. And the rush is nothing the same as monster trucks. It's a total different rush. But at the time I worked for a company and I had a salary-based pay, and I had time to work on trucks in the garage and make extra money for the pulling truck career. Then I decided I was ready to make the leap and purchase my own concrete pumps. So the first thing that had to go was the pulling truck, because I knew I couldn't do both. You can't pull money out of a startup company to keep things going.
Right.
And so I sold it, and I saved, and I saved, and I saved, and eventually the truck come up for sale on the internet, which I'd bought from Steve Curcio, and I wanted to get into the monster truck thing. It was more the monster truck stuff works a little different in a career. So it seemed like a better thing to do in life. Because I still got my motorsports adrenaline, my twisted addiction. And that's kind of where the whole name come from.
So, and I'll take a question out of the comment section right now as we watch some of your highlights. Where do you get your driving style from? I mean, you talk about your twisted addiction to the sport, but where's your driving style come from? How has it evolved since you started driving?
Well, I tell you what, anybody that says they're going to get in a monster truck and just flat foot it and just drive it like they stole it, I'm going to call 99% of them out and call them they're full of crap.
Bunch of liars.
Because it is a different it's a different rush, especially. Let's put it this way. You put in a truck and you got to pay to fix whatever you're going to break out of your pocket. It's a little different if somebody else is paying for it. But if you got to pay for it, it does get a little different. So my driving style, I figured, if you can't win, you might as well look good losing. So, I mean, because I can't race. Like racing, I can't race. I could maybe on foot, but if driving a truck... I ain't got control. The best closest race I had this weekend was against RJ Turner, and clipped that darn barrel. That was probably one of the, and then I take that back. Me and Darren Snell had an awesome race at Lamar, Missouri last year at the Stomping Grounds on that steep course. It just, I can never get one every now and again, but as far as the freestyle driving, I've tried to drive easy and I tear stuff up. So I mean, there's no sense in halfway doing it, you know.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things that got me going is, this truck behind me. I started out with Twisted Addiction, and then the whole tailgater thing we're going to switch off on it for a minute. The thing Doug come around, and I was able to acquire Tailgater and Smashosaurus from Doug and Brenda. And we all know, if you ever been to a show and you ever seen Doug's truck, that thing never left. It was always ready for a car show. Immaculate, dusted windows, paint shining. You couldn't find dirt on that truck.
Yeah.
I mean, Doug took superior care of his equipment. So that was a hard thing for me, knowing the way I kind of crash and thrash on stuff, was not really want to let Doug's legacy down, but add a little bit of my razzle dazzle of driving with it,
Yeah.
So it's a hard balance, very hard balance. Plus, come work Monday through whatever day I have to do, because I still got a full blown business I operate Monday through Friday, unless I have to leave early. So it adds a lot.
Oh, I got one.
Go ahead.
All right. So, I see in the truck behind you there that you got some coil springs over your shock. Not gonna lie, I don't see that too often. Since I was with Tom and we had coil springs on our shocks. Did you choose to do it that way, or was it during your shock testing process did you decide to put coil springs on it? And for those who do not understand the concept of coil springs, would you mind explaining them a little bit on if they help you or not?
So when I bought the first truck, it had King coilovers on it. At the time, I'm real good friends with Mike Botters, and Mikey was they were building Mikey's truck when I started making changes and upgrading the old No Problem chassis to bigger long travel shocks. And what is it? Was it Ryan? Ryan didn't have coils then too, or was it Adam? Adam had coils. So we all had overtime coils, and then Zach had too. And I'd run a few shows with Zach.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the whole concept of, charging up shocks. I have my coils, my weight set pretty close that 125 pounds of nitrogen will put my truck at ride height per shock, where a lot of people are running 300, 330, 360 pounds of nitrogen in their non-coilover truck. So when you take a real hard hit, your pressures on a non-coil truck is through the roof. I mean, me and Marty was kind of talking a little bit about it this weekend. It gets into the big ACUs and all that stuff. Now it changes that curve, but the coils keep my levels of nitrogen I have to run down. They keep my ride height held. I don't rely on a sway bar as much. I still have them on there because I don't like that leaning all the way over. I can't. I've taken one out before and broke one and just tried to finish the show without one, and I just can't handle that. It just felt like I was going to fall over on my side because mine are not that stiff.
Now we got a question, comment. We're talking about your truck. Since we're already on that topic, one of the other questions in the comment was they want to know what size cubic inch engine you had in your truck and what kind of heads you used, if you didn't mind spilling the beans on that.
It depends. I have currently 5 motors because I'm hard on stuff. I have an A-headed 572. I've got an A-headed 530, and I have 3 CJ motors in the 530 range. Well, 2 of them in the 530 range, and then one of them is the little guy I bought from Vodders when I done that Minnesota show. I still have it, and it's like a 429 offset ground crank. What is that? Like a 468, 477, and I beat the absolute. Actually, that show at Matt Motorsports where I lost my tire. I had that little bitty motor in, and a couple years before that, I had that little motor in. I'd had an issue, and I had that little motor in, and it was kind of funny because Hot Rodney had snake bite that weekend, and Foot put a 632 in, and my little bitty 400-inch motor put him on the trailer.
Oh man, what a heartbreaker. That's funny you bring that up. I remember that. Coop, you should remember this. You should know what he's talking about, because remember when we were in Kansas City, it was one of my last Monster Jam shows. It was the second to last, I think. We were out on tour together, and me, you, and John Gordon drove to the Springfield, Missouri show. Do you remember that?
You drove to Springfield. Yeah, you guys were in Springfield.
Yeah.
We made the trip. The 3 of us did. And Dad went out there, and honestly, for Bigfoot 14, laid down a really good freestyle pass. I was really impressed. It was. I think the video's out there somewhere still, and there's some sweet pictures of me and Coop next to the truck.
I wore the strangest outfit.
It was awesome. You look like a straight baller.
I had a button-up shirt with bananas all over it, and some weird shorts with cockatoos on it.
But he goes out, Pops goes out for freestyle. Like I said, does the damn thing, does a really good run, and gets out, waves to the crowd. As he's waving to the crowd, just the crank breaks. It was so weird. Engine blows on the truck, so they take it back to the shop.
Was just idling and died. Like
just died.
And died.
Yeah, just freaking died. So they took it back to the shop, like you said. They put a big old motor in the sucker, and here you are, setting them on the trailer, and kind of going with the theme of the thumbnail tonight, Tim. I mean, you're taking the Monster Truck world by storm. You're putting a lot of those, like I keep going back to Missouri, right? I keep going back to the Midwest. Why? Because monster trucks are so important to the Midwest. Bigfoot was crucial, was huge to the Midwest in the 80s and 90s. And Bigfoot's starting to do, I don't know, they're in another world right now. They're not what they used to be. Not talking trash. I'm just kind of stating facts here. And Tim, you've really just kind of stepped up the monster truck game there in Missouri. And I mean, what the thumbnail says, I believe you're becoming the fan favorite there in Missouri. And a lot of people in the comment section are agreeing with me.
Well, not to take anything away from Bigfoot, they operate on a different aspect. They've got a lot more things that's got them tied down. I have some help with some products with Tri-Pack. Scat Crank helps me out with some stuff. I grenaded a transmission beyond belief this weekend from FBI. They told me not to worry about it. So, them guys all help out. But there's nobody that gets to tell me where I get to go, how I have to run my truck, or where I have to go. And that being said, I get to do what I want to do and when I want to do it, as long as the promoter's okay with it. It's caused some issues. It's caused some drama because some people, this is their livelihood. This is my stress reliever. Yeah. But I don't, I guess they feel like they have to be one up on me. And let them be it, and I don't go to every show and just burn my truck to the ground. I don't. There's been a couple that I've just done my show. But I've never once made, I don't want to come off and make it feel like you have to go out and do better than me. I mean, if there's an issue, just maybe say something to the guy and don't go last. If you don't want to, don't put me first. I mean, I feel I run the same if I go out first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 15th, however. I do my thing that day. If the truck's feeling good, I'm doing good. I do my thing. You know, if something's not right with the truck, I'll tone her back and you know, just get through. But I promise you, if I have an issue Friday night, you better hold on Saturday, because I'm going to give my 110 that I owe the guys for everybody there. You know, I've had bad Friday nights, and I've bought a pile of tickets for people that was upset. I told them to come back Saturday. I mean, if there's something I've done that's upset you at a show as far as a fan, and I feel that it was something in my control, I'll buy your whole family ticket to come back to the next show. You know, it's just, none of us want anybody to leave unhappy. And that's not the aspect we're at. And all of it, you know, because with the fans, that's where, I mean, if it wasn't for them buying my shirts, my hats, you know, buying this nice swag here, I wouldn't be able to buy the new parts that I buy. That's what helps buy that stuff. That's what gets me down the road. And I don't want nobody mad. I mean, that's the last thing I want, is somebody upset that, you know, they felt that my truck should have run better.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, to me, you proved that to me at the Waco show that we were at, because I mean, let's be honest, that wasn't the greatest turnout for fans at that show. Don't really know what happened, because Matt Motorsports is always on top of things. Dude, they're a great promoter, but fan turnout wasn't there. However, you still went out and you burned it down both nights, man. So, and that's just to add to what you were talking about. You're a driver for the fans. You remember what it was like growing up, what you wanted to see, the things you would change once you got into the seat. I love it. Now, we're kind of running up on some time here, so there's another topic of discussion I want us to kind of transition into, Tim. And before we do that, Coop, we need people to like the video.
Like the video. What are you doing? Get over here. Like it now.
We got way too many people watching tonight. Don't have 18 likes on the damn video. Come on.
I got one question.
Go ahead.
So this is my final one for now, at least until I figure out another one. After a show, or even after a bad weekend, what is your go-to drink that you would choose to help wind down and help you calm out all the problems you had to deal with throughout a long week of, say, motor problems, something was happening with your tranny, or four links wouldn't stay in, or say your drive shaft keeps flying out? What is your go-to drink that you would go to?
Good question.
Oh man, you know, peach mango bang.
Oh,
whoa! Was not expecting to see that.
Okay, now what about alcohol?
Maybe a shot of Tito's in that, but we got to keep this, you know, family safe video here.
PG-13.
Fair enough.
PG-13.
Fair enough.
Make Tito's, you know, but I'm always on the go. I don't have time. Like I gotta hammer down. I mean, I break something Saturday night. You know, I'm loaded up. I'm trying to be the first one in the trailer and get 10 miles, or get 6-8 hours down the road. You know, before I get tired. You're still so wound up with adrenaline, even if it's good vibes, the bad vibes. I try to drive, man. I just try to drive.
Listen, I wish I had that mentality for, hey, I need to go to bed right now to get to that airport in the morning. Instead, we're up all night. We're close at all the bars. We're just excited to be done. But so props to you, my guy.
No, I'll start with one more. I'll leave us with one more thing. But what I thought was interesting, Tim, okay, because Cooper found this interesting when I told him. But it was like when we were in Waco, you go out, you break your wheel, you break your champagne, and you go out, take the truck outside. You get the Bobcat. You yank the corner off the truck. It's all one complete piece, and you're like, all right, let's go out. It's like, whoa.
Well, you know what I thought was just a simple champagne, and you don't have to take nothing apart, ended up being a third member, you know, because it blew the spool up. So I was hungry. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I was hungry. I was, you know, ready to go get some food, just socialize. It's been a long time since I've been around Marty and Mike. You know, missing Mikey this year. Haven't gotten, you know, normally them guys swing in. Normally I get Mikey and Mike and they're here to shop for a week or so between shows, and it's just not happened since COVID. I've got, heck, I make Mike get up here and sign. I got an Overkill hood, and he gets up here and signs and checks in, but he ain't been here in a while.
Well, all right, now let's do this. Since we're running up on time now, I'm kind of wanting to get to a really good topic of discussion, something that we've been talking about behind the scenes. Spence, Coop, Harley, myself, some other people have been involved in this conversation. Tim, and I want to pick your brain. I want to know what you think. Our topic of discussion is when it comes to monster trucks not being recognized amongst other forms of motorsports as a legitimate motorsports and monster truck. We've been trying to come up with, why is that? Why is nobody looking at monster trucks and we're not seeing the big payouts for monster truck events? Why is it that when people view monster trucks, they view monster trucks as a kid's thing, and that eventually the kid will phase out of that? And some of the answers we've been coming up with, Tim, I'll start first. Was one of the things being that when Monster Jam kind of came into the scene, they saw two guys such as Tom Mintz and Dennis Anderson who could take the sport, take it to the next level. And they did. What Monster Jam did was they capitalized on the freestyle competition, and that's what made our sport turn into the biggest, I guess, freestyle frenzy sport that there is. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's other trucks that go out there, off-road trucks. They go out and do whatever the heck they want. But when you look at monster trucks now, your mind goes to freestyle. It doesn't go to racing like what the Penda Series was. All these other forms of racing back in, even when Monster Jam kind of first started in the mid-'90s, I mean, they were big on racing still then. But we're not being looked at so seriously anymore by other forms of motorsports. And another one of my theories as to why is you got, let's say drag racing. Let's use them as an example. Spence isn't here to defend this case tonight, or he may even disagree with me. Hell, I don't know. But one of the things that drag racing has got figured out is you get that TV time, right? You get that prime time TV spot, and you make your sponsors happy because sponsors want to see their stuff on national television, okay? They finally get the TV time down. They're spreading the wealth. The sponsors are happy. People are buying their products. Everybody's happy, and they do a great job of spreading that wealth. Where at Monster Jam, they don't really do that. They're actually really good at pissing off sponsors in the meantime. They've had loyal sponsors over the years that have been with them, and then next thing you know, Monster Jam's asking an outrageous amount of money to keep them on, such as Monster Energy. And it's hard for them to hold on to sponsors. They take that money, it goes to the higher-ups, it goes to the Felds, and it stays there. It doesn't get distributed evenly amongst everybody else, their drivers, their crew guys. Do what they can to better the sport of monster trucks. They do what betters Monster Jam. And that's all fine and dandy. They're a family-owned company, but it's not doing our sport any favors, Tim. So let's take what I just said. I'm going to throw it at you now. Why do you think that is? Why do you think the sport of monster trucks isn't, being looked at as a legitimate motorsports, a legitimate motorsport in front of other forms of motorsport, such as drag racing and NASCAR?
They forgot where they evolved. I feel 110% issues with Monster Jam is there's too many hands in a cookie jar, and they forgot what made them what they are. And you can own all the trucks in the world, you can have all the drivers, but if you don't have hands in a seat, you don't have nothing. And they made it almost impossible for a tight budgeted family to be able to afford to take the whole family to a show. You can't go to a show with 5 people, and afford it anymore. You physically cannot afford to take 5 people to a show. $15 snow cones. Come on, for real? $100
Say $15 snow cones?
Yeah, ain't that what a snow cone is now? $15.
I wouldn't be surprised, but that surprised me. Oh my god.
Yeah, I thought
I think it was 20.
Sorry to interrupt, but I'm just like, what?
I'm pretty sure it's 20.
Yeah, I think it's 20.
Is it 20? Okay, so I haven't been to Monster Jam show in a while. I haven't bought a snow cone. So I'm the one that packs my diaper bag, and I ain't had a kid wear diapers, and then you dump the wipes out and you put Skittles in it, and you fill the baby bottles full of drinks and just roll on. But the aspect of that is you know, when like St. Louis. So I'm fortunate enough, the Dome, the largest in one of the largest floor plans, it is in St. Louis, Missouri. I mean, it's World Finals. I mean, it's bigger than what they have down in Orlando for World Finals. I mean, the floor plan is huge there, and the seating is off the chain. And you used to go in there, and there would be people against the rafters in that joint.
Yeah.
Because you're watching monster trucks. You're not watching a guy play ping pong. So there's not a bad seat in the house. You know, you can see a truck do a backflip from 200 yards away. I mean, there's not a bad seat, but they forget about those $15 fan seats that they, you know, where you used to be able to go for $100. You can take your whole family and go get a seat. And their kids got to go watch Monster Jams, you know, but they just keep weeding out the redneck. I mean, I'm a redneck. They're weeding us out where you can't even afford to go. I would rather go watch an independent small show. Even if I wasn't in a show, you know, I go watch local shows to help support the promoters putting them on. I mean, I don't get to, you know, can't go to the same show every year after year after year. I'd love to, but I like to go sit and just watch sometimes. And my kids, you know, just be there with my kids. My boys love it. They love being a part of it. I mean, they help. You know, Wheatland a few years ago, they dove in. I mean, we went out, we broke in two-wheel, we blew a planetary up, and, you know, and they got right in there, went back out and got right involved with it. And they love it, but they also love to sit right beside me and enjoy a show. And we, you know, critique on who should have done what. And I tell you what, they're my biggest critics, because they'll flat let you know what you did wrong. You know, you look like you were lost out there, Dad, sometimes. But, you know, back to Monster Jams things, I think they forgot where the people that keep them going is, you know, they're looking for six-figure families, and that's not always out there.
Yeah, you're right.
And they're just wanting more money and less people.
And to kind of piggyback off of that, so let's look at the reality here. Okay, Coop, you and Harley, we all know this. You look at the seats that have been selling at Monster Jam here. I mean, this has been fizzling out in the last few years. They've been selling less seats. And Tim, like you said, they're preferring the $100 ticket, you know, seats options versus selling a bunch at whatever, $15, $20 a ticket. And so that's starting to fizzle out. Well, what happens when Monster Jam becomes no more because they're just flat out not selling tickets? Are we going to have another form of Monster Jam, or is there going to be a tour that's out there right now that's going to kind of step up, start booking stadiums? One of the things that Spence and I would like to see is to actually get monster trucks back to racing, to actually get back that competitive form of racing where, Tim, we're trying to get our trucks, you know, right now our trucks are weighing, you know, what, 13,000, 14,000 pounds, and now we're trying to shed them back down to 9,800 pounds, 10,000 pounds, and get back to real racing in monster trucks where we got big purse prizes available. And I think the start of all that, or I won't say the start of all that, because there's great promoters out there right now that are wanting to better their shows even. They're doing what they can each and every year. Monster Truck Throwdown being an example. What is it? The Outlaw Drag Series. You got Zane Ratu series. There's a lot of guys out there that they're doing what they can to better their program and so on and so forth. But another one of those examples was a show that you were at, Tim, which was the Mid-America Outdoor Show that Dennis put on. I think that kind of sparked a lot of people's interest in like, hey, we actually don't really need Monster Jam if we can actually sell tickets at decent prices. And that was a great turnout that was at that show. And I think that, Tim, that's just a small example as to what the sport could look like if Monster Jam kind of fizzles out and we're not seeing monster trucks in stadiums anymore.
Yeah, you know, what hurts a lot is, you know, it's in everything. It's in everything is cut and throat, you know, and I see it. I have people call me trying to book me in a show in the same town that I'm booked at 2 weeks, you know, 2 weeks after, you know, they're trying to book a show in 2 weeks before the other promoter that's been doing that same show for, you know, 15 years. And it's just like, absolutely not. Lose my phone number. Don't call me. That stuff's got to stop. Like, that stuff's got to stop because it's hard. And it takes enough people to learn to tell somebody no. I mean, do I remember where my first show was at? I do. Do I run those shows anymore? No, I do not. It's you learn and you pick battles, I guess. And I just don't want to be a part of that. Like, I don't want to fuel any of that. I don't want to, but with Elliott stuff, Manson stuff, all these guys put on killer shows. If we can it'd be cool if we can do a uniformed racing. I'm not running the whole toughest tour this year. Corey with Toxic stepped in on 3 shows, and then Jacob stepped in. So it's happened over the years. So my points, all of our points tally up, and their points go to me. So there's always somebody at that show in my spot. May not be my truck, but they're helping keep my points going for toughest. And at the end of the day, when it's a green light, your best friend or your enemy, it's all about getting that win at the end. And then as the helmets come off, you're right there helping the guy fix his truck so we can do it again tomorrow.
Hell yeah.
And I would love to see a big race thing. That'd be cool. There's been some talk about it. There's been a few promoters wanting to do something. It's going to take uniformity to get it all to happen.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of chips that have to fall into play to make that happen, and there'll be more on this conversation continued when Spence comes back on the show with us. But Coop, you got any more questions over there?
No, I feel like I asked all my amazing questions.
Okay. All right.
Got all the answers I needed.
All right. Well, Tim, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight, my man. It was a pleasure having you on, a pleasure getting to know you a few weeks ago. For everybody watching tonight, there's a lot of you watching tonight. Everybody want to see what Tim Jones and the Tailgater 2.0 is up to. Thank you for tuning in. Would you go to thethrottleoutshow.com and buy some sweet merch? We got some new stuff on the way. It should be getting here this weekend, I think. So don't sleep on that. Don't sleep on Tim Jones and the Tailgater 2.0. Start buying up his merch and support him. Support these independents. That's where it's at. That's what the foundation of the sport was founded on. And eventually, I believe we're going to get back to just strictly supporting independence. But y'all, thanks for tuning in. Thank you, Tim, for joining us, my man.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. It's been fun.
For everybody who's tuning in tonight, remember, when in doubt, throttle out. We'll see you in the next one. Have a good weekend, everyone. We'll see you at Supercross in Arlington.